Hello, good day everyone. So our topic for today is circle. Okay, so for today's lesson objectives, we have the following. First is to define a circle, identify the parts of a circle, determine the standard form of equation of a circle, and of course, to graph a circle. So first, let us define what a circle is. As we know, it is a set of all points equidistant from a fixed point. And this fixed point, as we have in this figure, is what we call the center. So all the points naman on this red part is what we call the circle, or all points on the circle are on this red portion. Okay, and this line segment that we see here drawn from the center to the any point on the circle is what we have as radius. This radius here is actually can be drawn from this center to this point on the circle, and actually we have many radii. Okay, and twice of this radius is what we have as diameter. Okay, so diameter is line segment drawn from one point on the circle to another point on the circle but passes through the center. Okay. So for our equation of a circle, it can either be in standard form or in general form. For the standard form, we have this one, wherein the center is also called, by the way, this is also called the center radius form. It's called that way because the center here and radius are very obvious. The center here is just HK. We just have to pick up those numbers here, being subtracted from X and being subtracted from Y. And then pick this number that is being squared on the right side, that becomes our radius. Okay. And then for this general form naman, take note that the center is not that obvious. That's why most students will strategize by transforming this to the standard form to be able to get the center and the radius. But if we want to apply a shortcut, you just have to change the sign of this coefficient of x. That will be negative d and then divide it by 2. You do the same thing with the coefficient of y. You change the sign and then divide it by 2 to get the y coordinate of the center. Yan. So yan yung shortcut to get the center given the general form. We normally convert the general form to the standard form to get the center and the radius if you don't want to do some memorizing. Okay, for example, we have to find the equation of the circle below. So identifying what the center is, that will be 2, -1. And then the radius is from this center. Get any point on the circle. So this point here is 2, 2. So it's how many units away from the center? It's 3 units away from the center, just like this radius here. Okay, this point here is actually 5, -1. No? So you have this equation. You just have to substitute 2, -1, and then for our r, we have 3. So simplifying further, that will be x minus 2 quantity squared plus y plus 1 quantity squared equals 9. Then if we are to transform this standard form to general form, all we have to do is square the respective binomials. So if we are to square this, that will be x squared minus 4x plus 4. In squaring this, we have y squared plus 2y plus 1. That will be equal to 9. This is the general form if we are to arrange our terms. So move natin yung y squared. Ayan, so x squared plus y squared. Tapos we have minus 4x plus 2y. Combining the constants, we have 4 plus 1, which is 5, minus 9. 5 minus 9 is -4, making the right side equal to 0. Yan yung general form natin. Okay? So general form is normally associated with having 0 on the right side. Okay, so how do we find the center and radius of the following, beginning with number 1? Yan. So, since ang kailangan natin is the x minus and the y minus version, this should have been x minus -7. This is y minus 0. So, that makes our center -7, 0. And since this 36 here can be written as 6 squared, yan, that means our radius is equal to 6. It's actually the positive square root of 36. Okay, actually, dito madali lang sa number 2, no? So, what will be the center here? It will be 5, negative 8. Yan. Again, we can think of this as y minus negative 8. Although some students, ang ginagawa nilang palatandaan, pinapalitan ng sign ito. So, itong negative 5 magiging 5, itong 8 magiging negative 8. Kasi it's coming from x minus and y minus actually. Yan. So for the radius naman, take note that this is not a perfect square. So that means our radius will be an irrational number. We have a radical square root of 65. Okay, for number 3 naman, we have x squared plus y squared equals 1. This is actually x minus 0 and y minus 0. So we have for our center 0, 0, and the radius is 1. Okay, this is actually the equation of a unit circle. Yan. Whereas for number 4, this is actually x minus negative 1 and this is actually y minus negative 11. So our center is negative 1, negative 11, and the radius is square root of 81, which is 9. There you go. Now, how about this general form? How do we find the center and radius of this before sketching its graph? Okay, so first we group the x terms. And then we also group the y terms. Take note that we are to complete the square. Okay? Tapos yung positive 16 went to the other side. So magiging negative 16 siya. Mag-change ng sign. So, ano magko-complete sa square? Ang task is to divide this by 2. So we have 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Squaring that, that means we have a 4. Okay? So kung ano yung inad natin dito sa left side, we do the same thing with the right side. So we should also add 4 there. For this naman, we have negative 8 divided by 2, which is negative 4. If we square that, we have 16. We should do the same thing on this right side. Ayun, so that means this is now, square root of 4 is 2. So you have an x plus 2 here being squared. And then for this one, square root of 16 is 4. Take note that the for the sign of the binomial that's being squared, we follow the sign on the middle term. That's why this is positive coming from here. This one is negative coming from this sign. Okay. So we have x plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 4 squared. The negative 16 and positive 16 will cancel out. So we just have 4 on the right side. Okay, so our center is negative 2, 4, negative 2, 4, and then the radius is equal to 2. How do we now sketch the graph of this? So again, our center is negative 2, 4. Let's locate that. It's here. Okay. Tapos, ang kailangan natin, the radius is equal to 2. So we want a point 2 units above, 2 units below, 2 units to the left, and 2 units to the right from the center. Okay. And then we just have to connect those 4 points, forming a circle. Okay. So there you go. That's how we sketch the graph of this circle. Okay. Now, how do we find an equation of the circle with center at 8, 2 and passes through the point 8, 0? So we substitute in the center values in standard form. Okay. So ito po yun, yung center radius form. Since 8, 2 na to, so 8 yung H, 2 yung K. So substitute lang, no? Kasi center na to, so ito na yung HK natin. What about for 80? Since this is a point contained on the circle, it should satisfy the equation of the circle. Ganun naman, di ba, sa ating mga graph, no? If a point is on the graph, then it should satisfy the equation representing the graph, no? So, yung 80, substitute natin si 8 kay x and si 0 kay y. Okay, since it should be a point on the circle. So this one is 0. This one will be 4. So that means r squared is just 4. Going back to the equation that we have, balikan natin to and we just have to replace this part by 4. Ayan. We have this one. Okay. Now let's have this one. Find the equation of the circle with radius equal to 3 and center at negative 1, 4. Okay, so what do we mean by that? Ito yun, no? Ito yung ating standard. We're after the equation, so standard form. Okay? We're already given with the center tsaka yung radius. Eh sila yung lead characters natin sa circle. So lagay natin si negative 1. So x minus negative 1 becomes x plus 1. Tapos si 4, lagay natin dito. It becomes y minus 4. Okay? Tapos yung r natin is equal to 3. So ayun na siya. Simplifying further, we have x plus 1 quantity squared plus y minus 4 quantity squared equals 9. There you go. Now, how do we find the equation of the circle with center at negative 3, negative 2, and diameter is equal to 12? Okay. So take note that, again, given this equation, we can just readily substitute the negative 3 and negative 2 to h and k respectively. So ayun, ayun. Yan. So again, take note that it's coming from x minus negative and y minus negative. But for the r, how do we find that given the diameter? We just have to divide the diameter by 2 and the answer is radius equals 6. Okay? Palatandaan natin yung diameter yung mas mahaba kasi 'di ba parang mas isipin na lang natin yung diameter has more number of letters than the radius. Ayun, para mas ma-identify natin kailan tayo mag-multiply by 2 and magdi-divide by 2. So ito pa, divide by 2 to get the radius. So we have 6. That's why our radius is 6. So ang ating final answer is x plus 3 quantity squared plus y plus 2 quantity squared equals 36. Now to find the equation of the circle with 4, 1, and 6, 3 as endpoints of the diameter, take note we're not given with the center nor the radius. So ang gagawin natin is to find a way of getting the center here. No? So paano ba natin ina-identify yung center from the diameter? It's actually the midpoint. Okay? So using the midpoint formula, it's like averaging the coordinates, no? Para tayo nag-average lang. So paano tayo nag-average? We add and then divide by 2. So for the x coordinate, that will be 4 plus 6, divide by 2. For the y coordinate, that will be 1 plus 3, divide by 2. So what we have is a 5 and a 2 there. 5, 2 will be our center. Now to get the radius of our circle, yan, one way is to get the diameter's segment, the diameter's length rather, kung gaano kahaba yung diameter natin, i-divide natin by 2 to get the radius. Or another thing is, get the distance from the center to any of this point, either of these points. So, piliin na lang natin yung 6, 3. So, we have 6. Using the distance formula, no? Distance nitong dalawang to will be 6 minus 5. Ayan, quantity squared. Plus 3 minus 2, quantity squared. Square root of that. Ayan, that's the distance formula. But if we want to get the r squared right away, we can just forget about the radical sign. Okay? So this is 1. This is also 1. That means our radicand is 2. So we have square root of 2 for our radius. Which means may center na tayo, may radius na. We can already have our equation for the circle. So we have, substitute natin si 5 and 2. There you go. And then for this part, we have square root of 2. So our final answer is x minus 5 quantity squared plus y minus 2 quantity squared equal to 2. Okay. Now let's find the equation of the circle tangent to the y-axis, center at 3, 4. Okay, so the y-axis is here. 3, 4 is right there. So ang kailangan natin is this equation of the circle here. Okay? So para makuha natin yun, we have to identify the radius kasi we already have the center. Now, the easiest way is to get this distance here. Itong perpendicular sa ating tangent line, this horizontal line right here. So ano ba yung distance nito? Nitong center to this point here. Take note that this point here on the y-axis is the point 0, 4. Ito 3, 4. So which means our radius is equal to 3. So ayun, 3, 4 is the center, tas radius is 3. That's why our equation final answer is x minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared equal to 9. Okay. So I hope you're ready for our questions. Just to assess if you are understanding our discussion. You can always pause the video if you want to have more time answering the question. First, find the center and radius of the circle with equation x squared plus y squared equal to 100. Okay, again, you can pause. You can choose to pause the video for a longer time if you want to have more time in answering the question. The answer here is center is the origin 0, 0, and the radius is 10. Okay. For number 2 question, write the equation of a circle whose center is 8, 0 with a radius of 4. Okay. Okay. Equation, we're after the equation of a circle. So answer will be x minus 8 quantity square plus y squared, y minus 0, equal to 4 squared, which is 16. Okay. Now for number 3. Find the equation of a circle with center 9, 1 and another point on the circle is 4, 1. Okay. So we're given already with the center. So we expect an x minus 9 quantity squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared. Okay. Saan nanggaling yung 25? It came from 9 minus 4. Yung distance lang nito, no? Parang yun yung pinaka-shortcut. Every time you're getting the distance of 2 points having the same y coordinates, just subtract the x, the x's. If you are getting the distance of 2 points with the same x coordinates, just subtract their y's. Okay? So ito same y, subtract the x's. So 9 minus 4 is 5. That's the radius. So 5 squared will be 25. Okay, remember the right side is r squared. Yeah. By the way, be able also to represent this equation in general form. That is by expanding this binomials, squaring each of this, para makakuha tayo ng general form eventually. Now for number 4, yan, our task is to find the equation of a circle with center 2, 3 and tangent to the line x equals 3. Okay, so our answer will be x minus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 3 quantity squared equals 1. Where did this 1 come from? It came from, since this is a value of x, we subtract 3 minus 2. That will be 1. So squaring the 1, 1 pa din. Okay. So find the center and radius of the circle with equation x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 14y minus 6 equals 0. Okay, again, you can choose to pause this video for a longer time if you want more time to answer. The answer here is center will be 3, negative 7, and the radius is 8. Again, you can choose to memorize, no, yung ating formula for the center using the general form. You change this to positive, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. Change this to negative, negative 14 over 2 is negative 7. But then, yung formula for the radius, medyo tedious for this general form. So let's now write this to standard form. Okay, so let's do it this way. Combine the terms with x. We have x squared minus 6x here. Tapos we have the terms with y. Y squared plus 14y. And then move the constant term to the other side. Okay. So this one divide by 2, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. If you square this, that will be positive 9. We add the same number on the right side. Okay. So 14 divided by 2 is positive 7. Okay. Squaring that, we have 49. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay. So square root of that is x in yung ating binomial. That's how we do our factoring in this style. Square root of this is y. Tapos square. Okay. This is 15 plus 49, which is 64 or 8 squared. That's why the center is 3, negative 7, and the radius is 8. Ayun. So, hope you got it correctly. And I also hope you got 5 out of 5. Yan. So, to end our presentation, life is a circle of happiness, sadness, hard times, and good times. If you are going through hard times, have faith that good times are on the way.